Now, let's get back to the lockdowns more broadly and what happened in Perth over the past few days. I'm joined by Wes Lambert, who's the CEO of the Restaurant and Catering Association. Wes, there must be so many businesses in Western Australia counting up their losses. 3-day lockdown right across an Anzac Day long weekend.
Look, there's over 4,000 restaurants, cafes and caterers in Western Australia, and most of them are in the Perth and surrounds. They lost at least $25 million over the long weekend in revenue and lost bookings, and had to rubbish or donate over $7.5 million of produce. And now with these ridiculous caps of 20 people per venue, and 1 per 4 square meters for the entire week, they stand to lose tens of millions of dollars more in revenue.
Now, the frustrating thing here is we know from the medical experts, we spoke to Dr. Clay Golledge at the top of the program, it's very clear this lockdown was not needed. Now, that was obvious before he called it, yet he called it anyway. And of course, we now know that the infection was contained within those contacts who, of course, were immediately isolated at the start. This is the way to deal with these outbreaks, not brutal lockdowns.
Look, the Western Australia Premier is using fear to really control people. It's very unfortunate that he is putting businesses in the front line, in the firing line. There's many businesses that have told us over the past couple of days that they don't know how they're going to pay rent. They don't know how they're going to pay their bills this month. There's been very little stimulus from the West Australian government. What are businesses going to do with $500 of energy credit when they have tens of thousands, millions of dollars in lost revenue, and the expectation that the Western Australia government could, at the drop of the hat, with 1 or 2 cases, lock down the economy once again?
The real worry here is that he's learning nothing, and the other premiers are just as bad because we keep seeing these lockdowns. The data showed after each one of them that they didn't prevent any additional spread, that was contained within the normal contact tracing. Yet Mark McGowan today is trying to blame Australians coming home because they were infected. That's what quarantine is for. And even though it got outside quarantine, it was still contained. I mean, they have to accept their errors, don't they, and give some consistency to business and communities.
So how are we going to learn to live with COVID if we continue to practice an entirely eradication strategy? It is very important that we keep COVID transmission in the community very low, but how will we ever reopen international borders if we don't use tracking and tracing and hotel quarantine as the tenets of that restart?
Spot on, Wes. Spot on. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Wes Lambert there. It is just so logical. We got to learn to live with this virus. It ain't going away, no matter how many vaccines we have. We've got to do better than what Western Australia has done over the past week.